Hello and welcome back to the video on the Football Zone and to the first full weekend review of the season, reviewing the big weekend of Premier League and Championship action. So without further ado, let's get straight into it with Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 2, the first game of the Premier League season, and unlike last year it's a comfortable win for Arsenal. Martinelli with a goal in the 20th minute and Mark Guehi with an own goal in the 85th minute, giving Arsenal the 2-0 win. And yeah, this was just the start Arsenal needed. They looked really impressive, new signings fitting in well. For Palace, disappointing performance, but for Arsenal, yeah, the signings were positive here. Really positive first signs. Probably the shock of the weekend was Fulham 2, Liverpool 2. Mitrovic gave Fulham the lead in the 32nd minute. It was only in the 64th minute Liverpool equalised through Núñez, and you thought they would go on and win it from there. But no, in the 72nd minute, Mitrovic from the spot put Fulham ahead again, only for Salah to equalise 8 minutes later. But Liverpool couldn't find a winner, despite obviously having the majority of the game. And yeah, for Liverpool that would be so frustrating. With how strong City are looking, they already at this point can't afford to drop points. But for Fulham, what a super impressive return to Premier League. But anyway, moving on into Tottenham 4, Southampton 1 at White Hart Lane. Ward-Prowse gave Southampton the lead in the 12th minute, but from where they were running, it went downhill. Sessegnon and Dyer in the first half made it 2-1. Salisu with a rather embarrassing own goal in the 61st minute, and just 2 minutes later, Kulusevski gave Tottenham the next goal, and they won 4-1. And yeah, great result for Tottenham. Like Arsenal, looking really, really strong. Southampton, though, they were poor, all at the seat at the back, and yeah, to be honest, I do worry for them this season. At St James's Park, it was Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Shaw with a goal in the 58th minute and Callum Wilson in the 78th minute was the difference between the two sides, and Newcastle were absolutely dominant here. Forest didn't even have a shot on goal, and yeah, you kind of do feel like that was kind of a rude awakening for Forest for their life back in the Premier League. But for Newcastle, really, really positive start. Still a players coming on, you would imagine, and yeah, they were looking strong here, so they'll be delighted with that. But for Forest, now they know what's needed of them. But anyway, Leeds 2, Wolves 1 was the score at Elland Road on Saturday, and Podence gave Wolves lead in the 6th minute, but Leeds equalised in the 24th minute through Rodrigo, and an 8-Morion goal in the 74th minute gave Leeds the lead. And yeah, on the whole, I would say it's an even game maybe. Draw would have been a fair result, but fair play to Leeds, they were clinical, got the win they needed, and yeah, that's a good start to the season. For Wolves, though, after the poor run at the end of the last season, they would have needed to start strongly here, so they'll be disappointed with that. Moving on then to Bournemouth 2, Villa 0 at the Vitality. Jefferson Lerma gave Bournemouth a dream start to life back in the Premier League in the 2nd minute, taking the lead, and Kiefer Moore sealed the win in the 80th minute. And yeah, on the whole, you'd probably say Villa were maybe the better team here. 15 goal attempts compared to Bournemouth's 7s. So yeah, that kind of sums it up. Bournemouth were clinical, and they'll be delighted with that. Villa, not great for them, and yeah, it's a disappointing result because it's a game they really should have been targeting. But anyway, moving on then to Everton 0, Chelsea 1 at Goodison Park, and yeah, deserved win for Chelsea here. It wasn't a vintage Chelsea performance by any means, but in the end it got the job done, and that's all that matters. Chelsea, I would still say not quite in the ideal position, but a Jorginho penalty deep into first half stoppage time was enough to give them the win. For Everton, slightly disappointing not to get anything out of it, but it wasn't a disaster. It was still a relatively close game, I'd say. Moving on then to Manchester United at Brighton, and yeah, this probably was a disaster. After 39 minutes, Brighton were 2-0 up at Old Trafford in Eric Ten Hag's first game in charge through 2 goals from Pascal Gross, and McAllister scored an own goal in the 68 minutes, give United a lifeline. They looked better when Ronaldo came on, but in the end they didn't do much, and yeah, I don't think they deserved it. Brighton just played magnificently, deserving of the win, and United were just an absolute shambles. And you look at the players they're linked with today, and yeah, you just worry for them this season, Jesus Christ. But anyway, moving on then to Leicester 2, Brentford 2, and a great comeback from Brentford. But anyway, Leicester took a 2-0 lead in the 33rd and the 46th minute through Castagna and Dewsbury Hall respectively, and Tony in the 62nd minute gave Brentford the lifeline, and Silva 5 minutes from time equalised for Brentford, and in the end they got a point. Leicester will be gutted because they were probably the slightly better team here, and to chuck away a 2-0 lead with all the negativity going on there was really poor. But Brentford, they can take a lot of confidence from that. Moving on then to West Ham 0, Manchester City 2 at the London Stadium, and yeah, he has arrived already. 1 game, 2 goals, the absolute machine, Erling Haaland. First goal from the spot in the 36th minute, and the second goal in the 65th minute. And yeah, Man City just totally dominant here against a team that you think would probably be right out there towards the end of the season, top 7 maybe. And yeah, I mean, like, City just class on the side, and it's looking pretty ominous for the rest, in my opinion. But anyway, that's enough Premier League. Moving on then to the Championship, and we're going to start off with Birmingham 2, Huddersfield 1. Scott Hogan gave Birmingham a lead in the 5th minute before Palachecha in the 45th minute gave Birmingham a 2-0 lead. Ward in the 61st minute pulled one back for Huddersfield, but in the end it wasn't enough, and Birmingham, for me, definitely deserving of the win. Fair play to Eustace, he's proved me wrong so far. Really good start to life for Birmingham. 4th place, they'd have definitely taken that, but for Huddersfield, they're looking really, really poor at the moment. Schofield, I'm just not sure he's cut out for it. They just look awful, and yeah, not great at all. But anyway, moving on then to Norwich 1, Wigan 1 at Carrow Road, and yeah, believe it or not, League One Wigan, last year's League One Wigan were defeating last year's Premier League Norwich for quite a while, with a goal from James McLean in the 29th minute. Max Aaron's pulled one back in the 61st minute. Norwich, you might expect, had the most of the game, but in the end, they couldn't get the goal, and Wigan got a very well-earned point. For Norwich, yeah, they'll be disappointed. It's been a really poor start for them, but for Wigan, absolutely delighted. What a fantastic point. Moving on then to Swansea 0, Blackburn 3, and John Dale Thomason certainly had a great start to life at Blackburn. New signing Sammy Smallsticks in the 39th minute gave Blackburn the lead. Ben Brereton Diaz in the 57th minute gave it 2, and Travis in the 84th made it 3. And you know, Blackburn were just really clinical here. Only 5 goal attempts, 4 on target, 3 goals. Brilliant stuff from them, really clinical. Swansea, they'll be disappointed. They had the lion's share of possession, but just didn't do anything with it. And Blackburn, yeah, like I say, just clinical. Moving on then to Reading 2, Cardiff 1 at the Medeski. O'Dowda in the 4th minute gave Cardiff the lead before Shane Long scored a penalty in his return to Reading. Great to see that. And then Tommins in the 63rd minute with a lovely goal to give Reading the win. And yeah, on the whole, I'd say on reflection, it was probably quite a close game. Maybe a draw was a fair result. But you know, Reading will be pleased after losing out to Blackpool last week, getting a win here. I think they'll be absolutely delighted with that. As for Cardiff, beat Norwich last week and go and lose to one of the relegation favourites. Yeah, bitterly disappointing. Moving on then to the Bet365 Stadium, and another game between 1-1 and 1 loss last weekend, and now it's roles reversed. Stoke 2, Blackburn 0. Clark gave Stoke the lead in the 33rd minute, and Brown in the 75th minute made it 2-0 to Stoke. And you know, Stoke definitely deserved the win here. They were really good. Blackpool poor, didn't have a shot on target, but you know, Stoke will be absolutely delighted for that, and hopefully they can use it as a springboard to go on a decent run now and shoot themselves at the table. Moving on then to Sheffield United 2, Millwall 0 at Bramall Lane. In Diane gave Sheffield United 2-0 lead within the 22nd minute. Norwood also missed a penalty in the 44th minute. But you know, for Sheffield United, a game where they were in complete control really, and a really promising performance by them. I think they'll be pleased with that. 3 points from their first 2. Not bad, but yeah, like I said, they did need that win, so I think they'll be very happy with that one. As for Millwall, yeah, not a great performance, but I think they can regroup still early on in the season. QPR 3, Middlesbrough 2 was the score at Loftus Road on Saturday, and Willock, Dunn and Dykes within 38 minutes gave QPR an absolutely flying start. But yeah, Middlesbrough defence looking pretty suspect, especially Zach Steffen in goal, but we'll have to give him time. But anyway, Crooks and Force gave Borough some lifelines with half an hour to go, but in the end they just couldn't find a break for him. Borough, it's a disappointing start to the season that has been promised, but you know, 44 games to go, still a long way, but for QPR, a really great win. Preston 0, Hull 0, was the score at deep down on Saturday in the Championship, and this was a game that Preston really dominated. 20 goal attempts compared to Hull's 6 shots on goal, Hull's 1. So yeah, you kind of see where I'm coming from. So I think Preston on the whole will probably be disappointed not to come away with all 3 points here. Just needs to be more clinical, but you know, Hull did enough and got the point, and I think not a bad point on the road against a tough team like Preston. Moving on then to Burnley 1, Luton 1 at Turf Moor, and yeah, Luton took an early lead in the 5th minute through Potts before Brownhill in the 50th minute. Paul got the leveller for Burnley even, and yeah, on the whole, game with not a lot of separation of the two sides. Luton obviously holding on to the lead for quite a while. We're disappointed they couldn't see it through, but still not a bad result at all going away to Burnley. Who still play some nice stuff, but on the whole I think they'll be disappointed not to get the win. So maybe two slightly disappointing teams here. Moving on then to Bristol City 2, Sunderland 3 at Ashton Gate. Sims gave Sunderland the lead in the 4th minute before Vyman and Martin gave Bristol City a 2-1 lead, but Sims pulled one back in the 53rd minute and Stewart in the 72nd minute gave Sunderland the winner. And yeah, it's another game where Bristol City have lost the point from a winning position. It seems to be a continuation of last season, that's a real concern. But for Sunderland, a dream start back to life in the Championship for them. 4 points, they'll be delighted with that. And yeah, really great performance from them. They'll be delighted. Moving on then to West Brom 1, Watford 1, and undoubtedly the goal of the weekend. Ismail Assar from only his own half in the 12th minute, giving Watford the lead, and Carl Grant just before half time equalised for West Brom, and then Sarr went from 0 to 0, missing a penalty in the 73rd minute and costing his team all 3 points. Bittersweet for Sarr, but what a bloody goal that was. On the whole, I'd say a draw was a fair result between two really good teams and two teams that look very likely to be up there come the end of the season. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Until I like to share, subscribe, and lots comes down below for daily football news, and subscribe to the channel, I know we greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.